Hey everyone, Vishnu from the Six Rings Kane Show. Be sure to check us out every Monday at 8:30. I think you know why I'm here now. So we found out this morning that the long rumored, weren't sure if it was going to happen, Josh Gattis firing happened. And so obviously we want to do a little bit of reaction to that. We'll have a lot more on the full show on Monday. Just to recap, this morning made official. This is not a rumor. Released statement released by the university that Josh Gattis has been relieved of his duties. A lot of rumors about him potentially finding another landing spot and going that direction, getting hired somewhere else, and that being how he exits. Also, was not guaranteed he would exit. But in the end, the Mario Cristobal, University of Miami, pulled the plug on that, on his tenure after 1 year of being the offensive coordinator here, and a really bad year, if we're being honest. Not great. Probably a very big understatement. So let's kind of first. I'd like to kind of talk a little bit about what led to this. So if we go back a year ago, he had not been hired yet. So he got hired early February 2022. So less than a year he spent in Miami, and I think if you look at this entire offensive staff, because he's not the only ones left, Frank Ponce is also left. That was, for lack of a better term, the intellectual brain trust of this staff. That was the staff that was just really kind of the positions you expect to put the offense together. Because between that, you've got offensive coordinator, you got running backs coach. You've got offensive coordinator, wide receivers coach is Gattis, not running backs. Running backs is Kevin Smith, who's not going anywhere from what we can see. And then you got Ponce as the quarterbacks coach and a former offensive coordinator. So those are the ones you expect to install the offense. Clearly, that didn't work. And this was on paper something that should have worked. And I think it's probably a little bit of a cautionary tale there when you grab a Royals Award winner, track record, running the style Mario wants to run, and then underneath him you get an offensive coordinator who left an offensive coordinator job to be the quarterback coach. You expect that to click and to work, and it just did not. And this is probably a staff that conceptually should have been a home run, that in practice was a disaster. And I think, lesson learned for Mario, for all of us really, but in particular he who has the hiring decisions, is pay a little bit more mind to staff chemistry. How well are people going to work together? How well do they share responsibilities? Because an effective staff is one that, works seamlessly, where everyone kind of can work together. There's a clear understanding of roles and responsibilities. And based on what Larry Bluestein reported on our show a couple of weeks ago after Ponce announced he was going back to Appalachian State, that never happened. There was never that staff coherence and that cohesion. And so Gattis was also left to his own devices entirely, and no coach is going to succeed like that. Part of that might have been, his own doing. And I'm sure a lot of it was his own doing, but overall, just the staff never clicked. And that was apparent in the way the execution on the field was terrible. Now, there were problems outside the staff, a lot of injuries, in particular the quarterbacks, the running backs. So, Restrepo was the top receiver, and then he got hurt. So just a lot of stuff went wrong. And certainly that also played into the level and the depths with which this offense fell. But, most of the blame ultimately goes to, you're in charge of the offense, it goes to the offensive coordinator. And today he paid the price for one of, if not, we've probably, I think, on rating had worse offenses, but one of the worst offenses we've ever seen. Certainly from a scoring standpoint, 3 games not scoring touchdowns is it's so bad it's like absurd to even like mention that as a fact, but it actually happened. So as we kind of look at what went wrong and take lessons learned from that, and everyone immediately grasp for the big shiny object, I would say I'm not gonna throw names out there and say, oh, this guy should come in, or rumor monger. But I do think one of the keys to having a successful hire here is someone that can work well with Mario, work well with the rest of the offensive staff, and really build a cohesive offensive unit where they're all working together seamlessly with the players, because that clearly didn't happen. Clearly, Gattis and Ponce didn't get along. Gattis apparently didn't get along with much of anyone on campus, and I think if they can, if that needs to be kind of the first bar to clear. So before you start, because there's certainly some big names out there, and you just got to make sure they're going to fit within the team construct this time, because we didn't do that last time, and I think we're seeing some of the warts of this of this all-star staff, and how they were assembled, and that those words are very apparent in terms of what we saw in what we saw out on the field, and frankly, we probably saw some of it defensively too. And again, there's an all-star staff there. Your linebackers coach was a championship level defensive coordinator, head coach at several major programs, right? That's your linebackers coach. That apparently and pretty obviously can be a double-edged sword. So while we can look at that staff that was assembled and say, on paper, these are people that are qualified or even overqualified for their positions. The collective was way less than the individual, and that was most apparent on offense, and that is why the axe has fallen on Josh Gattis today. And you can't really make a strong argument that he deserved to be back. You could have justified keeping him by saying injuries, and maybe you could scapegoat Ponce. There's ways you could have worked backwards from he's staying to then justifying it. But if you look at the overall performance and you say, does someone with that performance, is it justified in letting him go? Absolutely. And we saw the axe fall today. And what we'll need to now do is looking forward, see what Mario's got up his sleeve. And hopefully this apparently has been in the background for quite a while. So hopefully, things move pretty quickly here. National Signing Day is on Wednesday. So, firing the offensive coordinator a few days before that, not the best look in that context. But given some of the reports we've been seeing, this thing's been in motion, and I think most of the players and staff and all are aware that this was probably coming, and today was the day. With that said, again, we'll have a lot more on that on Monday, and tune into our show 8:30 on Monday. We'll talk through some of this, maybe see if we got some candidates floating around, and so it's a day that I think we all kind of thought was coming, and it finally came, and it's hard to say that it wasn't warranted. So Josh Gattis out as the Miami offensive coordinator after one season, less than a full year in Miami. Also, as I mentioned, Frank Ponce also has a couple of weeks ago left to go back to Appalachian State. So Miami is looking for an offensive coordinator, a quarterbacks coach, and a wide receivers coach. Anyway, stay tuned to 5 Reasons Sports Network. We'll have much more on this, and certainly have a big recap on Monday's show. So stay tuned to our network. Like and subscribe. Definitely subscribe to the channel for more Canes content. Look for Six Rings Cane. We're all over there. And we'll all talk on Monday.
The Six Ring Cane Show. Yeah. The Six Ring Cane Show. Yeah. The Six Rings Cane Show. You know.